And I think I'm live. I hope so. Right, this evening, Martin Liedtke, Flat Earth British. Now, in case you guys don't know who that is, essentially he's been around Flat Earth for the longest time. I can recall him being here 5-6 years ago. Anyway, what we have here is we have Martin Liedtke. Now, he obviously is a staunch flat earther. He looks into history currently, and he's very good at doing this research. A few shout outs to the people in chat, because I know that there's a few people been waiting. So first person in was indeed Martin Liedtke. Matrix Media, Blackstead Coded, Woke, Tri Tamba Delta, Gently's Channel, Rune, Ryan Etherton, Julie Bennett, and many others, Craze Nations, Ian Adams, and more, and even Arwen's in, Shrewmatic. Nice to see you all in. Right, okay. As you can see behind me, we have a video playing. Now, what's currently happened is Martin's premiering his own video right now, and it will be finished shortly, and he will join us after that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try something different this evening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restream his live premiere right now so that you guys can get an idea of who Martin is, and then as soon as this is done, we'll crack on into it. I'll bring him in on Skype and we'll get something going. Okay, so let's just move me out of the way. You don't want to see my ugly face for too long, and we shall get Martin playing his.
Jeez. Mud is still there, really. Wow, what carnage, what damage. It's burnt, this looks. This house just burnt. And more underground things all into the city. Look at these. Okay. Columns and columns. Okay, sorry to take my time, but it's near the Colosseum. Constantine Arch. This is the no, it's not. It's up by there. I was thinking how long road that goes to it. The Constitution Avenue. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, more bunkers going under. They were well equipped. So the size of this building that was taken out, guys. That. Look at that. One stone. In the age of horse and carts for apparently thousands of years, and we only invented all this technology apparently sprung up post-industrial revolution. Fucking what a rubbish narrative. They must think that people were born yesterday. Wow, that is being seriously fucked up by something. That time to block this up with wood, though. What's in there, I wonder? And a load of Phoenicians with their weather-making device, the Jewish menorah. So, holy crap, something bad happened there. Yeah, I was all in the water, just told you. So there they are again, blowing trumpets. They got their video cameras, the menorah to make rain. Probably take some money off the town to make rain, because they haven't had a rain for ages, because they created it in the first place. A bit like they're doing now, actually. Yeah. Civilization repeating. They look different, they think different, they got different fundamentals as physics and science. It's been just warped off now to an incredible extent, but I see overtones with the Phoenicians of the day, so that's pretty epic. So I share that with you. There are more. You know, Temple of Venus. Let's have a little look at that. Temple of Venus. Wow, hit that. just a muddy hill. Huh. Temple of Venus. And the last little look, guys, Colosseum is all stuff under here. Mud, columns, mud, brick. There are many evidences for this being buried and dug out of the mud in the late 1700s. 100 years previous to these. They had time to block these off with wood. Something in there. Something more with arches. Graves? Or shrines? Shrines. The reliquary, dead saints. They've turned it into some sort of, like they do with churches, some religion. Who knew? And there she is. These are all buried. I suspect these will be as high as them. Buried below that road. Oh. Well, that buttress was added later, by the way, to hold her up. Much later. So yeah, anyway, let's dive off. I'm giving you them. Enjoy them. They are pretty epic. Now we're going to my site. Mind-blowing mud flood. Yay! Rubbish. So, convention. I've been coming. Obviously, it's not in London. It's in Kidderminster near Birmingham in England, in the Midlands of England. Now, loads of people are asking me to sign the book. Now, if it's ready in time, which I pray that is going to be the case, please wish us luck on this. Then obviously I'll be there and I'm just more than happy to do it and say hi to whoever I can with the time available. Now, one of my subs sent me a message, Robert, okay, who's a little bit unwell, so we're going to send love and vibes because we love our subs and our great British think tank peeps. And he's in some pain, so I've turned him on to Gillian's site for CBD products because they got him on all sorts and he's not good with it at all. So hemploymentuk.com. Okay, so if you need them, Gillian's got some amazing products. Gillian at hemploymentuk.com. Okay, you may want to check that out if you need any of them products. This gentleman certainly needs them, no doubt about it. So I'm going to be there. I've done most of my presentation, just been sorting in order. The thing is, I got like 16 hours, or maybe I don't even know, 25 hours of content to crush down into 2. So I'm just going to have to sort of, not go too deep or advanced, keep it like understandable. So that's what's going to be happening, and that's only in 10 days time. 10 days time. So it's all happening, peeps. Okay. Now, also, the think tank has been updated. Loads of people have been joining it, and it's just gone stonking. Flat Earth British think tank. There's all the peeps in there, and they add every day. I got to add some myself, but I haven't had time just lately. Okay, and Lee's been picking some juice, which he always does. Okay, what about this? If you come to that place, okay, just looking like what we showed you just now for Rome. Just a ruined world. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, he posted, this is his vlog from yesterday actually, and I'm going to link it, so especially get over there and see it anyway. Oh no, it's actually, no, it's in my resources, all the channels. But go over to Flat Earth British, check out his beautiful posts, because they're a joy. So got an awesome eye, and it's very, very, very creative. These bricks, they're like haphazard compared to the London red blood brick. They're like no two are the same size. So what was that, a church exactly? Dome, this? I think more of a device. There's no natural light going in there. The windows are terrible. So anyway, I could talk forever. Me, you know what I'm like, guys. I'm coming back, Flat Earth British, and I have summarised, tell you what I'm up to, etc. Thank you for that. Thank you for all, in fact. Very grateful, as you know. If not grateful for anything, what's the point? we've looked into basically the Phoenicians' art. Beautiful compared to how long ago it was supposed to be. This stuff is exquisite, as you can see. We're looking into free energy fireplaces, Alderons. Do they give vibrational qualities like buzz that can make you healthy, like 432 frequencies, or think better? Or could they be something to receive knowledge, maybe? Just a thought. We've looked at atmospheric electricity through antiquity. We've pondered why they are in expositions and taken out of the streets. And we looked into Bloomfield Church, which had apparently electrostatic experiments early on. More evidence that it existed in the 1700s. And a book from apparently French with Benjamin Franklin, which also says electrostatic. Stay away from bees and M's. Okay, my name is Martin, but I can't do nothing about that. And it's one letter off Mars as well, Martian. I can't do nothing about that. Okay, it's my given name. Okay, we just struggle with it. And I'm a beekeeper as one of my other strings to my bows. My bow. Okay, this week I'm mainly keeping bees. So yeah, book. Alright, buy the book, guys. Buy the book. Get this message out there. You know, people are actually spooked out at this stage because of the content, you see, guys. And it's like important. It's what I think. Okay, and thank you for everybody who shared. If I haven't got back to you in a long, expansive emails, it's because I have not had the time this week. And coming up to next week, I have little time again. So make sure to share this out, and I'll be back very soon. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's been Flat Earth British. Peace and love. Good. Yeah. God bless.
Hey.
Really?
How's it going?
Can you see me?
I can see you, yeah.
Crummy picture, but it is. I'm on my rubbish laptop.
No worries, mate. Do you want to be on cam or?
Yeah, I don't mind. It's a good shit. Hang on, 2 secs. How's that? Hee-hoo.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's get you on cam then. Let me just work a couple of things out and get you on there. Hopefully we'll get each other next to each other. So we've just watched a bit of your premiere stream.
Okay.
Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about what it was about?
Ideas for what's going on with alternative energy fireplaces. I'm wondering if they are just solely for radiating heat, or was there something else going on with them? As in, they could possibly vibrating. Now, when I do my work in the day, I listen to like frequency music, like 432 or whatever's required, to energize, unlock your kundalini, whatever, to fit my mood. So what occurred to me, because they had a lack of apparently radio, phonograph, music and what have you, only apparently certain literature, and apparently most people at this period were illiterate anyway. It was only the elites who could read, so that limits entertainment. So I was wondering, were these things resonating with the radiating heat anyway? They would resonate somewhat, but more so for people for well-being, or maybe even to receive information. They seem to be very, very smart people compared to the people of today. I know there's been a massive dumbing down process thanks to the media, but these things do not fit. They are steel, but high quality steel implements. They cost an absolute fortune if you want to get antique ones today, and they fit into these fires of antiquity, in this gilded era type of scenario, or the golden age. And there doesn't seem to be anywhere for a fire in a lot of them. We find steel plates are inlaid. masterpieces over these mantelpieces, which are amazing ornate. Now, you would not have a raging fire with a masterpiece above the mantelpiece, because it would bubble. All of these paintings, in fact, I showed some evidence tonight that this happens. This paintwork near heat source, radiant heat source, will bubble, which I thought was quite good evidence that you wouldn't have a fire, one of these raging coal fires, to heat these buildings, which are massive. The ceilings are really, really high, okay? But, there's so many questions with these buildings that we've been talking about. There's so much missing. Now, you may be old enough, Randy, to remember that when we were young, okay, they had outside toilets, didn't they?
Yeah, well, I don't remember them. I have,
I
mean, yes and no, yeah. I mean, yeah, there was a few houses that, friends of mine that had outside toilets, so yeah.
Oh, no, we had sheds at the end of the garden. It went in 1972, I remember it well. So you had to, dress up warm if you wanted to go to the toilet in the middle of the night. So, all right, for a council, that might be understandable. But what about the big, massive townhouses that are in all of these British cities, okay? So they're 3-4 stories. One story seems to be below ground level. And this is apparently the Victorian narrative, okay? Okay. You're not a working class person, you're an elite, or you're better off because you've got into some oil, coal, what have you, okay? So you've got one of these big townhouses. You employ, like in the programme upstairs and downstairs, an entire staff of cooks, of waiters, of butlers, to occupy your house. So then they all occupy different. So there could be like 20, 30 people living in one townhouse of one street of all of these British cities. This is the society, okay? These people who are chambermaids, etc., they go home at night on the tram to their lesser life. A bit like now, but that poses the question, why wouldn't they have any toilets? Okay, there seems to be inadequate heating, and these houses are much, much older. If you try to look into the origin of any of these so-called Victorian builds, okay, you will not find any evidence, okay? In fact, it's showing that it's a lot later. If you look at all cities' custom houses, they're all dated around the same time. If you're in Sydney, if you're in Cape Town, if you're in South America, if you're in Britain, these buildings are identical, and they're all dated the same period. But you can't get a photograph of one being built. It's the same for exchanges, coal exchanges. These buildings are identical, plain white. For some reason, these coal exchanges have to have the same specifications. Lunatic asylums, if that's what they were, are huge. Considering the population around, the mid-1800s when Bedlam was up and running, London was supposed to be the first million population city since ancient Rome in the official narrative. Ranty, apparently, okay? Right. So they haven't got any toilets. They've got inadequate sewers. They're running on the Victorian sewers, apparently, wink, wink. Although this amazing sewer system turns up, apparently, seemingly in no time at all for a city the size of London, by the way. Nothing at all is fitting, okay? So what's happened? Do you want to give you a little synopsis on what we think is going on?
Sure, yeah.
Right, okay, now, it would seem, from what we've discovered on Flat Earth British Think Tank, Great Flat Earth British Think Tank, is this is a scenario, right? The Earth is indeed flat. It's the Four Angels double torus magnetic model is the electromagnetic model for this place, okay? The inertia plane that is 12 kilometers below our feet, okay? Now, this has all been decoded from antiquity, okay? Now, in my mind, this can't be undone. Okay, it's too overwhelming, the evidence that this is the case.
Can I just interrupt there and ask you about this 12 kilometres? It's interesting that you said that, because what's the deepest we've ever dug?
Well, that's where I'm going on. Look, the reason that they stopped, there's an official narrative when they dug the ultra-deep Kola mine in Russia, that there was, when they got to certain distance down, they reached geodes, etc., they had electromagnetic disturbance, and they had to knock it in the head. And then it took another decade to get to this little bit more, to this 12k mark, this 12 kilometre down mark. Now, they put it down in the official narrative to psychic happenings. There's a recording on YouTube where you can hear ghosts and all of these really evil sort of spirits talking. And you can literally separate voices out in this recording. It's really eerie. But it's the Russians, so it's an operation, isn't it? So They talk about that the machinery just couldn't work, any of it, because of the amount of electromagnetic. So they were getting closer to the inertia plane, right? As in my mind, it's 12 kilometers up, 12 kilometers down. That's all of this dimensions that way up and down will allow for us, okay, for human beings.
12 kilometers, what, 120,000 feet?
Exactly.
It seems like that most of the balloons pop at that sort of height.
Well, they do. And, GeoShifter, if you remember far back, he showed some evidence, it's been out there years now, of this rocket literally hitting something and exploding. You can literally see it flattening on top, the whole thing coming apart. It's like it's hit something. Caught for a split second on a camera, slowed down. So, yeah, that's what I think. So, the big thing is what we've discovered, and it's a really alarming thing to know, actually, once you know the terrifying truth of it all, because the controllers, who are the Phoenicians, they certainly know how this place works. They know the model. You can pick this model out of ancient antiquity anywhere. I picked it out of apparently a Phoenician booklet tonight on my live blog. The Phoenicians are meant to be Bronze Age, BC. Yeah, they know the electromagnetic model for this place. So they're highly advanced, and they worked it all. It's the same way as we've reversed engineers antiquity. Okay, so what we worked out is this place has been dictated, our reality, by the controllers, who are the Phoenicians. They do it. They have mastery over water. We underestimate water. Okay, all of what we know on this plane is water. No, even in their official narrative, 72% water, okay? And we are water, and there's supposed to be oceans below us, the waters above, the waters below. In my mind, okay, outside of whatever is up there, what they call the firmament, I think is not only an electromagnetic barrier. I think you can hold water in stasis using a vibrational quality. You can see this all over YouTube. So basically, you can manipulate water, you can shape it by a vibration, by a harmonic, an acoustic vibration, okay? And this will just change shape or what have you, or it will hold like a wall with a vibrational quality. So maybe this vibrational quality is being emanated from Mount Meru, which is holding the water dome and keeping that ocean, which is above us, off of us, is what I think. I think that the controllers know this, and I think this place is cyclical events. I think we're locked in tiny pockets of time, 2, maximum 300 years. Okay, we never know what's outside because the controllers have got the mechanism so closed down that all of our information, all of our history, they've got everything covered, all the education system, everything that's been handed to us, guys, okay, is just been handed to us by the Phoenicians doing what they do with us. Okay, so that's what's been going on. I wouldn't trust any of that information. I pick every single thing apart to my best of my ability. Don't just jump in and say, oh yeah, that's the case. I will do my utmost to prove it. I've got to stay awake days just to prove this, or not. If that's the case, I will do it. So that's what we've done, and it's turned out that the Phoenicians have mastery over water. This place is mostly water. They inhabit the biggest ports are there, sort of HQs like Rotterdam, Hamburg, Brooklyn, Hong Kong, Constantinople, these places. Okay, Rome hasn't got a port, but they are a maritime empire. Okay, we were in a golden era with free energy. Okay, the people were doing very, very well, it would seem. Okay, and possibly a lot bigger. And why would I say that we were a lot bigger, or the Tatarians were a lot bigger? Is because the buildings that this Phoenician culture has inherited or stolen, it fits a lot bigger people. The doors have all been altered. The ceilings are ridiculously high for some reason, and the doors have giant arches, literally in some cases 2 stories high, 2 stories, in case you turn up to work on your elephant. Okay, so they inherited the civilization. Freemasons found the masonry, that's why it's Freemasonry. How? Cyclical events. There's 2 forms of events. Okay, there is flood, which is the best purification method, and the second best purification method is fire. So that would be plasma discharge events, which this place is covered with scars and can be proved. This has been the case. Right the way through all Asian cultures, every contemporary, Plato, Cicero, all of them, Plutarch, all say exactly the same thing about the cyclical nature of this place. The Asians knew it. The only ones that don't share or not privy to this information is Western philosophy. They're very generous with the information. Not. They send us on a wild goose chase on insanities, things that are not real. You know, they had people confused with aliens for the best part of the time, thinking there was outer space. And that's not the case at all. There's a lot more in here, and there's a lot more outside, is all I can say.
Yeah.
You know, this place is interesting. Sorry.
So let's just give a quick history sort of lesson to the audience about, you know, yourself. I mean, you've been a flat earther for how many years now?
Well, since my first post was September 2015, and I was flat earther since about, like, I suppose the summer, May. So next May it'll be 5 years.
Right. Excellent. And the thing is, I mean, there is people asking in the chat if you're still a flat earther or you're just into the Tartarians, etc. Yeah. But I see it as this way: you're doing a completely different field of research to everybody else, and
I think people might be missing the point. What we've managed to do here is we've reversed engineered antiquity. We pulled a model that is shown right the way through our. If you knew, it's all of the symbols that we see daily, even on products, on cars, everywhere, daily we see, is the Four Angels model for this place. Once you know, you kind of know it. It smacks you in the face 50 times a day. It's just at this stage, after doing all the effort to get that out, and it'll be, you know, talked about in the book that's coming out now in a minute, soon upcoming the next week or so. That's going to be explaining it in a really cool way. Okay, it's mind blowing. This is based on electromagnetic sciences. Okay, now what the government.
So before we go into that, I just want to tell the audience about how you get your information, how you've actually got into this other side of history, how you've dug it all up, who the people are that you're working with that can bring this to the you know, so that you can actually formulate a different history from the one we've been told.
Well, my best source is me. Okay, my best source is me. I've been collecting the best of antiquity for the best part. I'm 51 now, all my life. Okay, I have a very expansive book collection, so I've been going into history for quite some time. So by the time, you know, I'm into the sciences exactly the same, Randy. Don't get me wrong, but by the, you know, I was, you know, we were all mad, you know, NASA fanboys at some stage before we arrived at the flat Earth. You can't really deny it. So I was like that.
Can you shout out UAP? We've just had a super chat.
Yeah, the shape of my world. UAP channel, one of the best ever YouTube channels of all time. There, and Dread as well. Big shout for Dread, my brother. That's that, Steve. Yeah. So where was I? Sorry.
Yeah, he was talking about where you your history collection, your books.
So what I did is this: after about 2 years into the flat Earth, okay, I was just getting just mauled daily, and it was getting me down. I've got to be honest. Yeah, I am an empath, but to be in a specific position in the flat Earth, you've got to have thick skin. You know, water off the duck's back with your arm.
Tell me about it.
But in the early days, you know, we were all green as grass, you know, but this whole thing was brand new to us all. It really was. And it was quite some buzz. It was a really ecstatic time for us all, beautiful time for us all who was involved. This new awakening, this new information, everyone waking at the same time to flat Earth. It was a really special time. But you had burnout all the time because you were awake all night as well in America, just constantly doing this. Okay, so after a while, I thought, well, I could just keep churning out videos, calling out like Brian Cox and you know, for what have you. But I'm sort of bored with that now, so I think I'll diversify, and I think I'll go into something else that I know quite a lot about, which is history. And I was really into New Earth. You know, I really liked that lady and Wise Up, who's Epic Wise Up. Okay, so this is how it all started. Okay, that must have been 2.5 years ago now. So I started posting about, you know, what I thought was going on, but we basically discovered a thing called Antiquitech, and it changed all around. It changed all of it, you know, technology, changed everything. It started with these old atlases that I was showing on my vlogs maybe 2 years ago, and we've seen an abundance of spires, a ridiculous amount for all the buildings that were in these small enclosed star-folded cities everywhere. So sort of, I was looking into electromagnetics at the time, and I just juggled with the idea of these things collecting or gathering any charge. That was the idea, okay? And then we started to dig, and then, basically the evidence came forward that this was indeed the case. Now, with that notion, then I thought, well, what I'll do is, because I need help. I can't, this information is too hot, too much of it flowing in. I need to enlist help. And a good mate who was sending me real good juice on pictures is Lee, Flat of British subscriber channel.
Juice, we love juice.
Yeah, man, he got the best juice, man. He's got a really explicit eye for detail. The guy's like a really, really genius guy, okay? He's an amazing philosopher. And I just clicked with him, so he just stepped in and he just helped me out. And I thought, like, then what's next? Okay, we'll set up a think tank. There's enough here now to go through all of this. So what I did is I got everyone to send me in the best of their juice. And I can do this like rapid thing. I can go through a lot of information in a narrow space of time. Pick the juice out to do like amazing juicy vlogs. But the way it turned out was not what we expected at all. I never thought I would even be talking about Phoenicians. I never even thought I'd be talking about this place, as a cyclical nature of this terrifying truth of it all. Ever. I didn't even occur to me. They've been running dialectics, scaring humanity to death by nuclear war. And these terrible weapons of mass destruction. Any evidence for them about the grainy videos that are on YouTube? Any experience in your everyday life? No. Will there ever be? No, not really, is there? They have a nuclear bomb go off in Hiroshima, a couple of years later, the city's full of people again. It's supposed to be this thing called radioactive half-life. We'll forget about that, okay? Now, we know these are dialectics, but something is creating this damage. And then we stumbled upon American city fires, okay? The fact that all major American cities have burnt down around the same time, eradicating a specific style of architecture. But the damage is not consistent with anything they tell you, like a firestorm. So what we have been proposing is this electromagnetic technology, fascist technology, DEWs, if you like, directed energy weapons, phasers, taking this stuff down. Everything falls in its footprint in dust. And it's the same thing as you see today in LA, or in California with these wildfires. These buildings are falling in their footprint, and the trees are unharmed next to the buildings, like there's no heat being generated near them. Really, really odd. Same thing you see on these ancient depictions. So we made a discovery then about an event in 1811 through to 1812, which is called the New Madrid Fault Event, which was a giant upheaval of the center of America. The whole of America was affected. There was giant liquefaction, and everything sort of sunk. Okay, this was in what we think is a reset. Okay, when you get the 1812 overture, the boom boom, that is them telling you this is your new era, your new epoch, and we're going to give you the information from now on in. Okay, which is what happened. Okay, all of the main literal people that all turned up after that event. Everything before is like William Shakespeare. Now, what you find then is, these comets. Now, if you're a flat earther, okay, you're going to know nothing is orbiting anything. Okay, so, but then these things have been sighted. I've seen one myself, that Hale-Bopp, when it went over. It was quite amazing. Went to a Hale-Bopp party, so they exist. What antiquity tells you is these have dictated civilization. Okay, these have been resetting, except for when flood comes. These fly actually horizontally over the plane. Okay, these things can break off, go in two different directions. When you read about that in ancient manuscripts, you just know, well, how can heliocentrism explain a comet splitting off and going in two different directions? It can't, can it? But it does. And in this year, there was one of them. This great comet split off in two. It went across from Peru. It caused devastation everywhere it went, and it caused a year without summer, which was more than a year without summer. All crops failed plain-wide. Billions died. The cities were left empty and ruined by events. Some, America, underwater. Italy was underwater. These things were pumped dry and brought up. The photographic evidence of 1890s will show you that Rome was not long out of the events. Okay, so these
can we just say as well that your vlogs, you have probably hundreds of vlogs right now, and they go on for 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours at a time.
1,100 vlogs.
Bloody hell! So when you're saying that you have, you don't do a vlog and you just talk. You do a vlog and you show this information through old almanacs and books and things like this.
Yeah.
Things that
I ask the questions. Then I haven't got all the answers and don't even pretend to. So I ask the community. They'll come back in emails or in comments, and we'll just think about it rationally, come up with the clearest answer, and then we'll post about it. Yeah. And,
so you're not just bringing it off the top of your head, in case people are looking at this and thinking you're talking rubbish there, Martin.
No, man. Everything is given so much thought you wouldn't even believe it. Honest to God, it's not just by me. I got a team. I got a team, a manager. I got a manager that manages my beautiful website. I've got a team. I've got a team of translators for French, Italian, Middle French, Middle English. All of this I have sorted. I do the Middle English. And I've got other people that are just there to help Flat Earth British. It's really been a really sort of generous sharing event, which has paid dividends. And anyone who's paid a pass feels like when we make a new, groundbreaking discovery, which we do quite often, then everyone gets to share the buzz. Everyone gets to share the sense of achievement. We all did it together. It's not a selfish thing. It's not me, or anything ever going on, which is what makes it all special. How we get answers.
And the other thing is there isn't any research money in this for you guys. It's not like you're doing it for the money or fame or anything like that. I mean, it's essentially for your audience. And you mentioned a book. You have a book coming out. Can you just briefly touch on that and then go back to where we were?
Thanks. Yeah. That's going to be printed within the next week or so. I'm going to try and get it sort of nailed, the book. I'm ready in time for the convention at Kidderminster. Because people are just wanting signed copies and that. So I'm praying. Most of it's done. I'm just having a little bit of trouble on the last of these bloody images, these copyright-free images they're getting me. But apart from that, everything is all right. It's a lot more work than you might expect. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm up all night and stuff a lot of the time, just trying to do this. You get deadlines and stuff, but yeah, hopefully it'll be worth it. It's not a money-making thing, actually. This is a massive bit of information. The keys in this book are the keys to start over. There's everything from wave cancellation, cancelling out electromagnetic weaponry. There's how to build a bunker, a water bunker. There is free energy, how to make free energy from magnets. There is aquatech, which is the revitalization of water through basically vortexing water, magnetizing water. Everything is in this book to start over. It's all of the keys that they don't want you to know about to start over. It's an amazing book.
We have an interesting question from Toady UK, who says, does Martin think HARP is involved for the energy weapon reset?
I think that there is a form of HARP. I don't think it's the one that they show us, because anything that you see from anything the millions are looking at mainstream, this is just a personal decision, mind you, I won't touch, okay, because it's not organic. If it ain't organic and it ain't close to me, I ain't going to touch it, okay. This is the score. Now, I haven't seen HARP with my own eyes. I've seen the photographs for years now. There is obviously electromagnetic tomfoolery at play. Now, I have only 10 minutes from my house. 5G masts, okay, emanating out this vibrational frequency. I have Wi-Fi in the room. I have electromagnetic blocker that I bought or had sent to me on the back of my phone, because apparently when you use a phone, if you look at your head on thermal imagery, all your head's all heated up from where your brain is cooking from the microwaves.
Really? Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, ranty, honestly, and only in 3 minutes. And people will chat for 10, 20 minutes, no problem, right? After 3 minutes, you can see the thermal imagery of inside, really deep, all red hot, where it's microwaving your brain. This thing will stop it, it'll block it. So electromagnetic blocker. But
I could do one of them then.
Oh, they are worth their weight. You can wear one on a pendant. But first of all, they make you feel a bit nauseous, and you might lose a bit of sleep. But after it, you feel really energized and buzzy. It's really cool. So it's neutralizing it all around you. I noticed I laid in a field the other day when I first had this electromagnetic blocker, and I'm laying in the field, and all of a sudden these gnats started landing on me, and then a handful of these blue butterflies, them small ones. And I'm thinking, well, this doesn't usually happen. Is it because of the lack of electromagnetic disturbance around me? Possibly, and they were vortexing as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. So
where do we get these blockers from? People are asking.
Okay, a lady, Coco, in Australia sent them to me. I have a card. Oh, damn, I don't know where it is. With all the information, it's called.
Well, that's fine. If you can get back to me over the next day or so, and I'll actually link it in the channel description. Yeah. So that's all good.
Yeah, it's sent from Australia. I think they're around $60 for maybe a pair. I'm not sure, but they're worth their weight. Honestly, you turn your Wi-Fi off at night as well. You don't want that penetrating through your being at night, which it does. It's very, very subtle. All of these, these radio waves and everything that's passing through it. God, if you could only see it, but it's there. Everything's, whatever's happening outside of the visible light spectrum doesn't even bear thinking about for us. Can you imagine what is really happening?
So what's the book called? You've not mentioned it.
Yeah, right. It's absolutely killer. I love my book. It's called Flat Earth, Our Holy Grail. Our Flat Earth, the Holy Grail. That's it.
Our Flat Earth, the Holy Grail, by Martin Liedtke.
I'll put a link in the chat here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, fire a link in, and I'll make sure that I put it in the description too.
So it's in the book. It's like I've had to do a small summary of everything that's been discovered. I can't really cover 1,100 videos, or probably 500 to do with history, all in a small space of time. So I had to try and compress everything down, not just the juice.
So you were telling us about the Phoenicians. Then you were telling us about them and how this water world that we live in. It's interesting that you say it's a water world, because there was a film actually called Waterworld.
Yeah, brilliant film. Yeah, brilliant. And Last of That Oil in That Tanker with Dennis Hopper. What a superb film. One of the most expensive films ever. No, the fact is we are on a water world. I spent so many years at sea that I know this place mostly to be water. It's insane how big the Atlantic Ocean is. So I've always known that being on this little tiny island of Britain, that massive ocean would take nothing to take it out. I've always known this since I was very, very young, okay? And the power of the sea. I've always known about this as well. Many people miss this. So, the Phoenicians, okay? We are living in every aspect of Phoenician system. I mean every aspect. There is nothing they haven't touched. Their laws, we're under maritime law. These roads are shipping lanes. The language that has been given us or introduced to us, pushed by the Jesuits with the advent of the King James Bible, etc. But this English that we know today is phonetic. Phonetic is from the Phoenicians. What is so specific about the phonetics? Well, there's a few types of phonetics. There's phonetic, semantic, which is slightly Hebrew, which has some vowels taken up. The phonetics has a lot more vowels put in. So what's specific about that vowel or that raspiness that you get in Germanic tongues like English and German, etc.? Well, what it is witchcraft.
Really?
They are using invocation in language and tongue. When we say stuff, we're saying the reverse of what it actually means. Now, if I say to you, well, you look well, really I'm saying you look hell. Or if I'm saying, am I understood? Really you're saying to somebody, you want to stand under my foot. You should be saying, no, I'm overstood. And they use this on you all the time. With law and legalese, they use all of these Phoenician phonetic dialects to perplex people with legalese. Now, with the Phoenician language, it's been proved that they introduced, tonight I talked about the V's or the W's, which are numerology-wise 666. They keep doing it. Now, with the vibrational quality, the Tatarians didn't have the same thing. We were juggling because they had no toilets. Were they breatharians? We were juggling with the idea of, were they mutes? did they really need to speak and evolve these, these vocal cords for the vibration? Now remember, they're like guitar strings, the vocal cords, so they're vibrating, and we give off a vibrational quality. They say creation started with the word of God. In the beginning, there was a word, a vibrational word. So with the phonetics, what they did is really, really sinister. Everything that we say is not the true meaning. It's everything is reversed for their Babylonian death cult that they practice, which is human sacrifice on a regular basis. They keep it subtle, but it still goes on with the elites. And these are the Phoenicians. If you don't know who they are, next time you're walking down your city high street, take a look up at the buildings. They're looking down at you. In every city in so-called Christendom, they're looking at you. They're tainted, they're evil, and they don't come from these parts. Okay. Now getting back to 1811. Now with everyone gone, and how do we know? Because the early photographic evidence shows all the cities are devoid of people. Okay, and the buildings are sometimes wrecked, and it looks like the place is in a process of being revitalized in every case. And then the discovery of obviously orphan trains. That happened when I realized that I was born in a workhouse, and somebody else contacted me and said, "Oh, I was too." Turned into a hospital, and loads of people from Britain contacted me and saying, "Yeah, I was too. I thought, what's going on with these? And then when I dug in, I found that these things were orphanages. And then conspiracy Arabs picked up on it. He found the orphan trains where tens and tens and tens of thousands of children without parents, so where are all of them, are being shipped worldwide to repopulate cities in giant institutions called orphanages by a handful of adults, which are usually clergy, in all the cities. You get to, like, these people are adults by the 1850s and society is up and running, but this is like a history switch off. Okay, if anybody's ever read the book 1984, they tell you that every painting, every book, everything has been altered real time, and is continued to be altered real time. Okay, history has stopped, doesn't exist. We are locked in small windows of time. We glimpse outside of our window and we see catastrophe is what we see, and that's all we see. Okay, in this terrifying truth of it all. And that's where we are at this stage of the game with Discovery.
The last time I heard you speak about the resets, you gave 1,000. Well, I remember you speaking about 1,000 years. You mentioned earlier 200 to 300 years. I mean, has something arisen recently to make you think that those resets happen far more regular?
Now, there's an anomaly with the dates between the 15th and the... Everything that seems to have happened seems to be after the Renaissance, or the Enlightening. The Enlightening when they rediscovered electric, maybe, or the Antiquitech. Now, anything prior to 1500, you get into the maps, the Earth looks completely different. You get into the people, there's cryptids, there's unicorns, and this place is like Narnia for some strange reason, and all depictions from this era. So what we think is going on is that they are not us. That is a completely different reset. Every single time they either repeat this one, okay, or they do these obscure ones for the cryptids, etc. That one got reset. Now, what I think has happened is between 1500 and 1700, there was a huge event. There was another one in 1700s and there was one in 1800s. They are ongoing and they are different types of resets. There are resets that are mini resets, which are ongoing, which is small places just disappearing, cities empty, ready for populations from where? Now, we all know the government dialectic. They let us know on the Georgia Guidestones, don't they? They tell us, like, we're going to leave 500 million population. Now they keep, so they're predictively programming everyone to think that they are going to prune the nations, which is what they'll tell you they'll do. It's a necessity for them, for the Phoenicians. It has to be done, apparently. And it's just a type of sacrifice for them too. They reenact this in a process called the tabernacle. Maybe you heard of it. It's like a tent. It's a tent because it's a replica, a microcosm of the place where we live. And they do a burnt offering, a holocaust in there, a sacrifice. And it is a microcosm of what happens in this place. It's very scary, very sinister to know. But that is what we discovered, and a million more things besides. It's such a massive subject. There's the star forts. You love them yourself, don't you?
I do. I'd never seen one till about a year ago.
Right. Well, the Phoenicians built them, or they, the so-called Romans, or the Phoenicians, which are not 2,000 years ago. They are in this last millennium, just gone, AD. So up until the Renaissance period, there was still what they were called Romans kicking around. There was a massive event around this time. Okay, just before the Renaissance, Rome was underwater, and apparently so was America. And they apparently had pumping stations, the Phoenicians and masters of water, to pump the water off the land and raise it back up again. There's not that much land comparative to water in this place, and we don't know the extents outside to this supposed ice wall. We don't in reality. We're going on their projections constantly. We can't get out there ourselves and actually do any of this. I find photography a fascination anyway. I can't imagine every inlet on this place being photographised, but apparently it is. Really weird. Anyway, so this place is infinitely watery, and they have mastery over it to a great extent. And these pumping stations, so star forts, are nothing like castles, are they?
No.
So they're built in a pyramidal shape, and they look like ramps. Yeah? Right. Well, that would take the impact of a wave or a tsunami. Or we juggled with the idea of Fachets attacks or an energy weapon, which would be able to buffer that with the water that's in front of it, and the shape of them, like the stealth bomber of the day of whatever these are. But that's not what's going on. They have multiple purposes. You can find this with most of these things. They plan ahead. They think ahead. Okay, these things are put down before an event. So this thing is operational once the waters are receded, and then the pumping station terraformers. The water is pumped out into these star forts through these irrigation systems that go into them, into giant steamers. The steamers, basically, you need, between civilizations, you have to terraform. This place is sludgy mud. No trees are left. This is why there's no trees over 250-year-old, Ranty. Try to look for yourself. The oldest is like 450-year-old, and because it's on a bit of high ground in the centre of England or something.
What about the one in the centre of Sherwood?
Yeah, well, that one is the one actually that I'm on about.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, that one. Okay, so that's one of the oldest, isn't it? And there's only a little bit of Sherwood left anyway. But most of the trees, you will see, and in this photographic record and the antiquity record, all trees are snapped, and you just get a couple of leaves, like something's just happened. In all of them, you'll see this. It's part of their decoration to let you know there's events. They have masonry collapsed, and they have tree stumps to let you know that this has happened in all of their Phoenician coding. So, once you break the codes, and we know what quite a bit of this means, not all of it, still anomalies, we don't really know what some of it means, but enough to know what they might be thinking, okay, and what their end game is, sort of thing, is what we've been trying to think.
There's apparently a tree in Glastonbury that's 2,000 years old, is that right?
Well, there's supposed to be that tree in America. There's supposed to be, I watched a documentary on it, and this civilization of insects and stuff that lived underneath it got drunk on its fruit and stuff. But the fact still remains that a good portion of the trees of Britain are no longer there, and there's just the younger ones, the whole of Devon, Cornwall, all these places. There are indiscriminate Asian trees, but it should be all Asians. My local wood share is advertised on a map as semi-Asians. Why not Asians? Why couldn't they have survived 500 years instead of just the 2 or 3? All of these trees, you see, should be ancient and massive. Where are the big trees? They're not there anymore. Okay, so there's evidence that they were. There's one tree stump graveyard you can find fossilised in Glasgow, surprisingly, where you get these really giant tree trunks, and they've just been fossilised from some sort of event they put on a sea time scale. But yeah, you can find some of these tree stumps prior event evidences are on a plane I've picked apart. But yeah, there was events anyway, and all of antiquity will tell you that this is the case. They're ongoing on this flat plane.
Okay, just bear with me whilst I do something. There we go. Right. Yeah, I mean, when do you think the next event is likely to be?
I haven't got the foggiest. I'm just hoping that the creator will tip me off in time. But they seem to feel like, people are sensing things. Everyone's getting this same sort of inner knowing, if you like, or this sense that something is definitely afoot in the future. You just see that we're down a blind alley and this place is going nowhere. Everything's built temporary. It's a throwaway society. Where's it going to end? It's just getting worse day by day. Everyone knows it. The rich get richer and the poor are just getting on the street, and it's not going back. It's not going to get better. It's just going to get a whole lot worse. It'll be like Judge Dredd society. God help us all. That will be the case. So I think that they don't let it get that far.
So what about the most recent massive change in history? Would you say there has been?
Well, these events of the 1800s, when all of these cities of the world are populated. You get these events with Napoleon and his army going to an empty Moscow. The entire population is missing, apparently evacuated, what have you. He goes home, he loses most of his men, the worst winter on record. These comets have happened. There's years without winter, there's famine. They attribute the Irish potato famine to this same famine from no sun and all crops failing. Now, that would be probably the last. That's not a major one. That there were quite a few people left, because you see these crews and teams in these cities, cleaning these places up. You need a considerable amount, so it might be just like the last figure, but that still poses a question: where all these orphans are arriving from? Is there more happening in here that they haven't told us about? Where are all these coming from? Well, what the Phoenicians will tell you in their narrative is where the children have come from is the sea. In their narrative, they tell you in music, in contemporary music, in literature, that this is the case, the children of the sea. So what does that mean? We came in ships, but this is what they tell you. This is what the Phoenicians are telling us in their antiquity. They tell us a lot. They tell us they hate us. They tell us that they look down upon us. They tell us that they're not here. You won't see a Phoenician. I haven't seen one. If I did see one, I would know it straight away. They got these straight noses here and no indentation here. I'll tell you something about that. If you've got a straight nose here, you get a clear nasal passages where you get more air into your brain, keep your brain cooler, and you get better thought. Cooler brain, better thought. Okay, that's why they wear ice packs under their top hats in antiquity, we think. Okay, they had pockets in there for them, so yeah. So, excuse me. When you're born, okay, apart from them taking a swab of blood off your ankle, sticking it in a non-hermetically sealed brown envelope, and then that goes off somewhere, so that'll be to the Vatican, for the black magicians, slave your soul. And then, just after that, okay, when they're pulling you out, if you're not breech birth or you're not cesarean, this will happen. They will press in when they're pulling your head out, this shirt with us, when it's really soft, only gently. And everyone now has this indentation. So what does that do? What does that do? Well, it stems the flow of your nasal passages and the amount of air you get in your brain to keep your brain cooler for advanced thought, so it dumbs us down. They do that to us at birth. And anomalous things, they're injecting you as soon as you get out. When my son was born, the doctor, the nurse, just hit me with a needle. And I'm like, whoa. Do you mind asking me? You're going to tell me? No need to worry, she said. It's just a vitamin booster. So, what really? I'm going to have it analysed. Can I prove? They're not just going to go with that. I'm sorry. But that was the case. Straight away. Boom. So it was blood. Boom. All of this going on. There's a lot of these Phoenician aspects against us to dumb us down from the very start. We're smaller than we used to be. We're stupider than we used to be. This must be the stupidest reset in human history, believe in space and stuff. It does my head in. It really does. But this bombardment of our senses constantly as well. I know we only got a measly 5 cents reality, but look at the bombardment electromagnetically with the weather. If it is being manipulated, seems to turn up nice and warm, and they tell you it's going to turn up nice and warm.
They say that with the weddings of the royals. Every time there's a royal wedding,
and then I knew it as well. And they sell loads of barbecues and loads of beers, and they know it. Like that weekend just gone, right in time for Notting Hill and all these different carnivals and that. It was roasting. Right, 2 days later, the day after all of that weekend, it went back to rubbish weather, Britain. Yeah, but spiritual bombardment as well. They tell us, especially with the heliocentric narrative of that we're meaningless on a spinning speck and all of that. We all keep shouting that we are something more, but it's more than that. It's much, much more than that. What they've hid from us, what the nature of this reality, which they know about, which is positive intent and the power of attraction and belief in yourself. So what they do, is they use that against us in a reverse narrative, so that they undermine us to start off with from the very beginnings when they get you in schools and and you're conditioned with an indoctrination system. You know how it goes. By the time most people get to 16, they're broken. They're broken by it. Then inside they're not right because of what they've just gone through with a hell of, some bullies might be cut out for high school. The rest of people, they don't really want to do this. Okay, they never ask you in high school, right? They don't say, what do you want to really be when you grow up? It's like, I worked on a steelworks like my father. I want to be a coal miner like my father. I want to be fireman. I want to be sweet seller. They never really ask you what you want to be. It's like, well, I want to be a truther. I want to be truth to humanity. I want to be spiritual, help people in my life. They won't allow that. Probably smack you and say that's a silly notion. Get them ideas out of your head. Okay, it's all been discovered as well.
That's what they tell us, isn't it?
The control mechanism is shut down. When you're a child, when you're growing, you develop in mind. I find it very, cruel that we took a lot of these lies. When we find out everything's been more or less a lie. You look back in your childhood and you think all of these people, they were knowingly, complicit to this lie. They knew they were lying, a lot of them, at these times. They hated me in school, Ranty. I used to bring my own books in and ask, because their questions were so retarded. I brought my own books in and said, can you answer me this? And they gave me hell. They constantly sent me out of the classroom for asking questions, questioning their narratives, basically, like I do now. I must be really annoying.
Yeah, you're not allowed to go against the narrative. That's why you have to, in order to pass the exams, you're given a particular format, and you're asked a certain questions that they want you to research and repeat and repeat and repeat till you know it, and then be able to write it down. Yeah.
But this is like, we've been involved for the last 4 years, in spiritual warfare, and it is nothing less. This control mechanism, this Phoenician control mechanism, this heliocentric control mechanism, unfortunately has control of most of the people in this place. I can hear people talking mainstream narratives on public transport. I just can't even believe what I'm hearing. Are these people actually thinking that that's a reality? In fact, all of what they're hearing on mainstream is dangerous. People just need to turn or move away from it all. You just conduct your own life and find out what's really going on. All of it is distractions. None of it is real. None of it. None of it. They work it all out. All of them, as you know.
But that's why we need channels like yours. Can you refer us not only to your channel, obviously, so that's Martin Liedtke in the title, but any other channels that do all this stuff?
Yeah, man. Epic channels. Quite a few of them. They set up some of them 2 years ago. It was really cool with this topic. So my favourites ever in the history of YouTube is my mate Lee, Flat Earth British sub, John Levy, who's a very epic person. If you haven't heard him, well, he's got a certain vibration about him, and when he just digs in, he'll make you see something you wouldn't have ordinarily seen. He's got a very good eye, this John. UAP channel, I don't know if he's in your chat right now, who is literally a YouTube legend, who just kills it constantly, so I'm a big fan of him. Wise Up, I don't know if you know Wise Up channel, what he deals with mostly pre-flood, so it will be what these buildings were before the flood, when they all got basically solidified and turned into mud rock in a lot of cases. But he's moved over into after the flood just recently. Who else is there? I can't think. There's so many. Jeez, so many.
Put you on the spot, haven't I?
I just watch loads of them. I still watch like the flat earthers as well. You know, it's yourself. I watches in the night when George doesn't do my head in, and and Nick Punkit Word. Punkit Word. He's a good friend as well. Who I've met many times. So yeah, it's just an awesome scene. I'm glad it worked out this way actually, because don't want to be too confined by one subject. You know, I've had like massive criticism. You know, I remember when I one show, quite popular show in the flat earth community, and nearly ended it. I caused absolute carnage just by my presence and talking about this stuff. It was absolutely insane. Channels would crank up daily just to do 8-hour spins on how insane it was a notion without actually looking into the subject at all.
I noticed that Bob from Global. I remember when you went on Global.
You ended the show.
Well, yeah. A lot of people didn't appreciate you coming on, and I was like, "This is, you've probably got one of the best researchers that's come on to Globebusters to do a presentation about stuff," and then people were complaining about it.
Yeah, man, caused big trouble. And for Bob, I was really appreciative they had me on there, but I didn't like all of the trouble that he had after. Yes. That big bannies and stuff. Just talking about giants and stuff, There's evidence for them, but these people just really don't want to know or look into it. I've heard a couple of really, really big YouTubers, not flat earthers, but famous ones, who have just dismissed it without even a glimpse. But some who dismissed it 2 years ago without a glimpse are now looking at it and posting about it daily because they can see, you see, this architectural anomaly. I have many architects who contact me, Ranty, okay? I have like a PhD guy from Germany with worms that contacts me constantly. He's crazy about mud flood. He puts me on the clues as well. I asked an architect recently, how do you explain this architectural anomaly with these buildings you can't get plans for? And you can't get photographs of these things being built, and the bottom story is below ground level, all apparently at the same depth, the whole of the world. So he looked at me and went, well, it was Vogue at the time, Vogue. And then he realised how pathetic he was sounding, and he sort of went red, and then he looked in the chair and he sat there and think about what he just said and try and make reason of what he just said, because this is everywhere in Christendom. I've had some photos sent in to me in the last week which just boggle belief of why an architect would put a building in an area where it floods, in an area where it gets cold and icy, a second-story front door, 2 stories below that front door, one completely non-visible, which is down in a dip, and they've had to build a big, massive retaining wall to keep the road away. Now, wouldn't it make more sense to have a door ground level? Okay, and a human-sized door would be good. Ground level, so you don't have to slip on the stairs and break your neck in the morning. And when the ice and snow falls and fills up all of these, what they call basement properties, which they do every year, okay, wouldn't it be better to have them on ground level, maybe, and the whole building on ground level? So yeah, it would, and everyone agrees that would be the case with normal thinking. But what we found many
examples
of these same buildings with mud inundated up to them anyway.
Well, I think if anybody looks into this, I don't have to go more than 5 miles from where I live to come across street upon street upon street of houses with windows beneath the floor. Yeah. Beneath and where your feet are. On programs as well. I went to see my son yesterday, and he had the professionals on, right? And literally, they're driving through London, and I'm like, whoa, look at that mud flood! Look at that mud flood there. Back in the 70s, like, or whatever, 80s. But never ever noticed it. I've looked at them 1,000 times, but never thought nothing of it. They were there in my subconscious, laying there for the longest time, picking away. Yeah, and it just makes no sense because.
No photographs, no sense.
It would flood. It would flood.
What this kills as well, this narrative as well, is the governments that are opposed to one another. Like in the Cold War, that America and Russia were enemies, and that any of them are enemies, because this is not the case. They're more than Freemasons. They are under Phoenician. They got Phoenician overlord. All of them are the same one, right? And they're all We got the Jesuit army, and they got all of these, really sinister groups to do their beckoning, which will infiltrate society to the deepest level. Really messed up stuff what they do. But the Phoenician controllers themselves, they're separate from all of this. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't even stop here at all, because you just can't see them, but they control it, all of it, every single aspect of this society. There just doesn't seem to be any way out of it. It is very encroaching, and because of the nature of phonetics and what we've understood about the language now, anybody who's speaking a non-Phoenician language like the Welsh, which have less vowels, it is phonetic though, they stopped you speaking. There are other languages as well. They've managed to eke out of societies because of their non-phonetic nature by force. So everyone speaks one universal language. Now, if they were enemies, all of these countries, they wouldn't spoil exactly the same architecture, exactly the same civic buildings, museums, etc. and properties. They're all identical, they're all mud flooded. No matter where you are, you will see Venetian architecture. In Rome, you will see this stuff. In Tokyo, look at Tokyo General Railway Station. This is a Venetian building. You could see in the shape of a boat in Tokyo. They're everywhere. Okay, everywhere that they landed, and they brought the goods in. They took control of the trade, and they run it to today. Okay, everything is under them. They've had scapegoats, different parts of society that people on the internet love to hate on. They were scapegoats. They were red herrings. They too, all of these peoples, also under Phoenician control. There are no different countries. There is one power, and it's the Phoenicians. All play in the world like a stage show, okay? And they do it over and over again. They open the stage curtains, they run the play, and the stage curtains are then closed, and then there's a new level. Then we do it all over again, is what they do. With mastery of water and electromagnetic weaponry, is how they do it.
Wow. The good thing is, like I say, you've got proof of this. I mean, every time you open up these old books, and you see, when you start pointing out the things that are inside of them, it just makes sense. And it's not just in one part of the world; it's all over. And you don't need to speak a language to understand drawings and sketches. And that's the thing. When you show these sketches from different parts of the world that are all showing this mud flood all over, it's very evident that
free energy as well.
Happen. Yeah, and the free energy, the spires and everything that's on there.
As I talked about tonight, different evidence. One from 1750s with Benjamin Franklin, designs for energy gatherer, electrostat for a large tower. Another evidence of a church in Somerset, where they done electrostatic experiments in the past, and we have stacks and stacks and stacks of evidence now that they were running free electricity, but it's based on a different fundamental of what you might imagine now for generating this dirty electric that we got. They didn't need generators per se. It was down to the purity of their metallurgy. They're geniuses with metallurgy because they're alchemists. This is all about alchemy, by the way, I forgot to mention, because they're black magicians, and they use alchemy, which was originally a white magic. It's bursting forth from the ether reality, which is what this place is about. Manifestation. We create our reality through intent, positive intent, never doubting, making it happen. And that's what happens. They do it. They do exactly the same. They do in a reverse context. Take us down because they hate us. They want us ill. They want us having short lives. They want us as the workforce, doing the British thing if you're in Britain. So that would be barbers Saturday morning, down a football, shitload of pints with the mates, go home, probably go out for a few more pints, not getting on with the wife, the usual British thing, and then off to work again for the rest of the enslavement until they get to a certain age and they're ill and they got ulcers or what have you, and they have a miserable time for the last 20 years, moaned at to death probably, and then they die of an illness, and this is what they do. But in the meantime, they can earn so much money on your miserable ass selling your big pharma when you're ill with all that diabetes because of all the the controlled substances that they let you have. It's so easy to see how they work against people. It's the reflected everyday rant you must see in society, how this agenda against people is working out. You must be old enough to know how people used to be. Surely, back in the 80s, everything has changed. The whole world. It looks like idiocracy now. I'd be surprised if people who get up to go to the toilet soon. They probably just have a hole in their chair to go and not bother, like in the film. And just throw a trash can over there.
It was definitely different in the 70s and the 80s, that's for sure. You know, I mean, people were active. You know, they had to be. They had to be as much as anything, because they didn't. There wasn't that many cars around then. You know, I remember when I was growing up, there was probably on my estate there was maybe 30 cars in total for a housing estate with 2,000 people.
One car in my street, a Cortina, and he put a Jaguar and he bolted it onto the front to make it his Jaguar.
Yeah, but people used to walk. People used to, you know, it was hard life back then. You know, I mean, you made your own entertainment. Our favourite entertainment growing up, when we was at night time, was playing cards.
Same. We used to play endless games of cards, Ranty. Really, really cool. Yeah. Or board games. Just don't ever play Monopoly with me.
Monopoly. Yeah. I used to nick the hundreds.
Sorry. You used to play the writing games as well, like Boy, Girl, Fruit, Flower, or City, Boy, Girl, Fruit, Flower. Like we used to play.
No,
you don't know that one.
No, I used to play Partner Whist and Kaluki. Yeah.
Kaluki I know, and Spite and Malice we used to play endless. Use 2 packs of cards. It's a brilliant game, Spite and Malice. Endless hours of that as well. Yeah, we would, you know, charades. We were big on games and that. Television was naff. You know, we only had it ended early as well.
Well, there was 3 channels, and then I remember when they introduced that Channel 4 was coming, and I was like, a 4th channel.
I was the same. And when breakfast telly turns up in the morning, I thought I thought I was king sitting there eating my sugar puffs before I go to school, and it's TVAM on, you know, with Anne Diamond and whatever. It was like, man, telly in the morning, this is just the best.
But quite often we'd see that girl with a doll in her hand or something. You know, when the stream had ended on BBC Two or BBC One.
Oh, the doll in her hand. She looks exactly like her sister. She's possessed. That one with that doll, and that's that doll, Robert the doll. That is.
It was scary as well. I mean, she just sit there, and the music. Well, it wasn't even the music. It was just a.
What's she doing with that blackboard anyway? She's not doing any work. She's got like a little thing with her. It's creepy as hell. Or then white lines as well. But my telly was a really cool telly, actually, right? If you stared at it for long enough, it was black and white, right? It would turn colour a little bit, but that might be nice. Me and my friend, you know, the reason the television was invented, telly, is for telepathic communication. Or John Logie Beard, the Scotsman who invented television, was a spiritualist, big time. So was his wife. She used to do seances. So there's a bit of a narrative with him as well. It's really interesting looking at Beard. So he wanted to invent, a machine to connect with the afterlife, which is what the telly was invented for. Now, I done an experiment knowing this knowledge many years ago with my mates, and we had just an interference pattern, very much like the quantum interference pattern. In fact, the dots and the separation, exactly the same as an interference pattern on the screen. So we did the practice, which was, getting that seance mood, staring at the screen. And lo and behold, what manifested on the screen was a group of men around a table discussing weird stuff. It was like,
don't say that, because I'm looking at the screen now, and there's a round table, and there's 2 men sat on it discussing stuff. That's really? Us 2. Yeah, that's us 2 sat around a round table.
Oh yeah, right. That was it. So we invented that. So like the sinister thing behind that is, it arrived just after the war. They had it in the war television. Okay, they could have given it to the masses then, but they waited till late 1940s before they mass distributed it in time for the Queen's basically investiture, or basically coronation, which is in 1952. So they roll out the new reality. Okay, so that's 1952. We get Chris Bonington, or you're not sure the tension, but you get like somebody climbing Everest. So Britain are epic. We climb the biggest mountain in the world. Year later, okay, bit of like NASA do, flag waving. Year later, Queen's having a coronation. All Britain has tellies. But my grandmother had one of the first colour tellies in the street, apparently, and the whole street crowded around to watch the coronation. But we had railings as well, okay, at this time, all over Britain and Christendom, which were all sawn off for the war effort, they tell you. But when you research this, you find out, I've read statements from people in ironworks in Newcastle and on the country who said none of this steel arrived. And then I found out then that they were dumping thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of railings in the Medway, in the Thames estuary. Now, pray tell, when you have a world war on and you need as much armaments as you possibly can get hold of, why would you be dumping thousands of tons of wrought iron in the Thames? So, wrought iron, or these iron railings, they block television signals. Okay, they bounce around and they don't come through clear. So they had to get rid of them in the war because they know everything many, many years previous to them carrying it out. All the tech they hold on to. Nothing new under the sun. It's just ripped out when the pigs in the pen behave, sort of thing. Because this is a farm. They will give you new tech. Okay, but they got it all. You know, when we have these wondrous things like the internet, this turning up. You imagine this when we were teenagers, right? Too. It's just like phenomenal.
I remember as a kid, my favourite programme ever was Mr. Ben.
Oh, same here.
Absolutely. Mr. Ben, oh my goodness. I mean, even now I watch the odd programme of it.
Except he was a spaceman in one, but...
Yeah, but it was just, even though it wasn't animation...
Yeah. I know Mr. Ben tune.
I
used to like Bagpuss. I used to like big fan of Bagpuss.
And I can see in the chat there's... Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Man, but that was out of my. I think that was just a few years before me, Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Man. But I do remember my mum saying, "Flubber double weed."
No. I'm old enough for Andy Pandy, brother.
Or maybe we just didn't watch the same things. But Bagpuss, I didn't like him.
Saturday morning television, Adam's Family, Champion the Wonder Horse, and then it was Banana Splits. We don't remember.
I remember Champion the Wonder Horse.
Wasn't it brilliant? Yeah. Or Ed the Goat.
Well, remember Danger Mouse.
Yeah, he was a talking donkey thing. Yeah.
What about Danger Mouse? Mr. Gadget.
Well, I've been accused of looking like Penfold about 500,000 times, so I'm well aware.
It's a Knockout. Did you remember that?
Do you remember It's a Royal Knockout?
Yes.
The royal family done one in his tent, right? Honest to God, they had him in these nutty suits, didn't they? And they had that paedophile Hall there, touching everyone there with his microphone. Remember him? Oh, my mother thought he was the best thing ever. My God, what we know about these people now. And the royals had done their own, and he was apparently embarrassment to the world. You want to see how cretinous they acted. That Prince Edward was just, I think they sent him home. Go home, Edward, you're making a sham of it all. Yeah, one embarrassment, man. Whole royal family dressed up, bouncing into one another with the Roy for like the people, really. Unless they brought another dynasty in, maybe the Dutch monarchy to claim. Yeah, man, it's a knockout with legendary, man. Wow, yeah. That's brilliant. Wombles rocked, yeah. Tobermory, Madame Cholet, obviously. She was the only woman there, was she? Yeah, that's what she got the name, Madame Cholet.
Do you remember Grot Bags?
Yeah, man. Close Grot Bags. We got them from school. What was that on, mate?
I remember my mum. She used to cheat me when we came home from school because there was a TV program called Play School, and
what's through the square window? What's through
the triangle, the circle, and the arch. And the problem was, my mum used to watch it. I didn't realise there was two programmes. They repeated it at tea time. So in the afternoon, she got to watch it at like 1 o'clock. So she knew which window it was going to be through, and she always guessed the right window, right? So me and my sister never ever got it right, and we thought she was psychic. We thought she was some kind of witch. I'm telling you.
She had you, right?
She did, but she never ever got it wrong, and she never let us win either. I think that's a sign of like some kind of, I don't know, something. She didn't let us win ever.
So I got to ask, are you going to the convention? That's all.
I hadn't planned on, but I might do. I might.
I seen Riley at the Globalite store today in Liverpool doing his red pilling. Did you catch that?
I did, yeah. Oh, was it on Rent-A-Ghost? Or was it Rent-A-Ghost?
Well, the Mikas on Rent-A-Ghost.
Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock. Oh, great! It's saying all the good stuff now.
Rock, Big Bird. Yeah, man. I big fan. I like Cookie Monster. It's amazing. And Count Dracula. 1, 2, 3. He was brilliant. The Big Elephant, Flobberlobolos. Can't remember his name. He was a Greek elephant. As you do. Yeah, it was epic. Yeah, Water Street, New York. I want to go visit that. Had Monty Python on there and all sorts, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah, man. Later on, they had like Prince on there and other people like Bowie and stuff doing bum stuff probably. Think Bowie's dead?
Who?
Bowie.
Bowie? No idea, mate. Probably. I don't know. Have you looked into any of those? Quote
No,
unquote
it's just on his last album and his last ever video and his last ever video snippet of him in reality is him stepping backwards into a cupboard and taking a bow and then closing the door behind him like the show's over.
It's weird. So, yeah, a few people have done that.
Yeah, well, Prince actually told his closest school friend that he wanted to be a famous rock star and then fake his death. Now that would make perfect sense for Prince, thinking that he already changed his name to a sigil, a Solomon sigil, a sign. And wanted to be regarded as the artist previously known as Prince, which is a bit weird if you think about it. So, him doing that, and what he was talking about, which was he was bringing up chemtrails on chat shows in America. He brought that up. He brought up that it was affecting the community and making them cranky, that he noticed. So he said that there was, a danger with it. And a short time later, all that happened. So they probably just retired them, that's what I think. He was too old, he's too young, too fit to have anything like that. No.
Right. Is there anything you want to say before I wrap up?
No, man, I didn't need a cup of coffee. Thank you for the invite, Ranty. Real fun. What a cool night that was.
Yeah, no worries. I enjoyed your stream, actually. I was listening to it before we went live, and
yeah, it's good stuff tonight. Yeah. This the way it's all been unraveling with the Phoenicians. The weird thing about it all, though, Ranty, is first we sort of surmise what we think is going on, right? And then we'll say, okay, then let's just set out to prove it. And in no time at all, just flooded, inundated with overwhelming proof, and this just leaves you flabbergasted. Just like, I only just thought that might be a reality. I didn't think that it actually was. It just leaves you breathless, Ranty. I'm not joking. Lee feels the same as well. Some of this knowledge, privy to, but yeah, what a wonderful experience when people are not selfish and they share information. And long may it continue. I hope. Anyway, and I'm a beekeeper as well.
So how many streams do you do each week, would you say? How many premieres would you put out?
Well, I've had a very slow summer. I've been busy, man. But I used to do 3, but I found with the amount of traffic that I get coming through, I couldn't cope. So I leave it every, say, 3rd day or 4th day. To be able to catch up with comments, basically, and all the emails I get. So, yeah, I don't, I try not to do 1 a week if I can help it. I try to do 2 and 3 if I can.
Now, you're very close to 30,000 subscribers, and I've just passed, what am I on now, 4,100, I think, so yeah. I've got a long way to catch you up, but you had a time there where you had some massive growth this year.
Well, it was because it was just because I got shouted off viral YouTubers, is the truth. I got recognised for my work, Max Ingham, and these videos that he was mentioning me, 500,000 people watching. So my subconscious, when they all turned up, they were all quite hysterical and very excited about things. I had a lot to cope with. Very exciting. Everything of it was positive as well. But he didn't have such a positive thing with me, Max, because he got battered for talking to a flat earth. He said no. He said he's got Flat Earth British in the title, but his name's Martin Liedtke, okay? And he don't come on about it all the time. He's saying, I'm not saying the Earth's flat, guys. I'm not saying it's a ball either, he says, all right? He said, but I'm just, his work's good. So he took a risk, but he told me that I'm going to probably get banned for doing this. I said, Max, would you come over onto my channel and talk to me about the town, mud floods and stuff? He said, I don't know, I think I might give it a miss, get it's battered by flat earth hating Nazis, which is most of everyone. Okay. It's getting better. Ranty, check this out, yeah? I go up to my volunteer job. I volunteer to keep bees, look after bees. I want to learn about bees.
Oh, Super Leads asked, do you have any honey for sale?
No, but I will have super leads when we has they come in pound pots, little pound pots, and I tasted a tiny bit, mate. It was just the best nectar ever, right? So yeah, I will. I'll do pound pots. I'll do them on my eBay or something. Yeah, good idea. But yeah, when I got on the bus, the driver went, "Flat Earth British." I went, "Yeah, that's me."
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, we've had well, we were doing all right on the likes to the dislikes. We did have 25 likes and 23 dislikes. Suddenly, we've gained 12 dislikes. So I don't know whether it was the beekeepings that.
No. But go on, Mo. Will you thumbs us up? Come on. Be nice. Thumbs up. And Dredd, did you thumbs up Julie? Did you? Super Leeds did. I know I don't rely on him. And Dredd. Who else we got? Come on, Toadie. Put a finger on. Bloody everyone. There you are. Want to people in chat? Did it go up? I tried.
I'm sure it will. Right, well, I'll wrap it up. Like I say, anything to say? I mean, your book's coming out soon. I'll just try and see if I can drag that.
The convention, are you going at all?
Across. Hang on, let's see if we can get that in the centre. Let me check my OBS. There we go. So, yeah, I've got you in the middle there. So you've got it on... When is it? Kidderminster, the 14th of September.
Yeah, I'm meeting the Globe Light in Cardiff. They're coming here on the 11th, a few days before. So I'll meet them there and do a bit of activism on the streets of Cardiff. So I'll enjoy that. And then a couple of days after, up to Kidderminster, I'm speaking on the 14th in the convention. I might go over to Amsterdam as well, because I might need a holiday.
I actually might come to Amsterdam as well. I'm really considering it, and I'm actually 90% sure I'm going to make it. So I don't want to commit 100% yet, but I think.
Well, I got a seat anyway. I spoke to Dee Dee. She said, "I got a seat now, so I might just dive over and talk to everyone. It'd be pretty cool." Yeah. All right, I'm getting more towards that. just for the crack, really.
Yeah, just to meet up. We've not met yet in person, so it'd be nice to actually meet you in person.
And there as well.
Right, well, okay, Martin, I'll round up now. If you want to stay on the line for a little bit, I'll round up.
Thanks, people.
Okay, so that was Martin Liedtke, and if he so wants, he can mirror this video, put it on his channel. Maybe I'll get a few subscribers, who knows.
That'll be the first mirror I've done in 1100.
Oh, damn it, never mind.
I'll put it on my second channel. I just don't mirror. Every single video is mine on there. Check it out.
Yeah, that was Martin Liedtke, and this was just a flat earth chit chat. Back again on Friday. I know I keep saying it that I'm going to have a day off, but I genuinely am going to have a day off tomorrow. So you won't be seeing me. I don't care if the Earth is confirmed flat tomorrow. I'm not coming out.
You liar.
Okay, I might do. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, thanks everyone for stopping by. It's been awesome, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.